to heat up your frozen dinners, grab your TV tray, and settle in for another episode of the Plus Platoon, your podcast for all things Disney Plus, brought to you by Disney Plus fans. Watch along with us every week as we cover all the new, the old, the good, and the bad on Disney Plus. So put down that remote, don't touch that dial, and welcome your fabulous Plus Platoon host.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Plus Platoon. We're a Disney Plus fan podcast that gives honest, spoiler-filled reviews of movies and shows on Disney Plus. We look at new releases, coming attractions, and we'll even go back into the vault to revisit some of the classic Disney that's on the platform. Make sure you're subscribed and you will never miss a moment. I'm going to bring in Kate. Kate, maybe? Good to see you this evening.
I'm so excited to talk about all things Marvels.
That makes, I think, one of us on the platoon. So next, we have got Peter. Pete, glad to have you with us.
Hey, I saw this movie in the theaters, and I did not rewatch it for tonight. So that gives you a hint about what I thought about it.
and that is from the Defender of the Faith. So... And last but certainly not least, we've got Steve. Steve.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, guys, if you have not already, please like, subscribe, share. That way you'll never miss any of the episodes we've got coming up. And we've got a couple fun ones and a couple potentially controversial ones coming up. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. So this week, it just came out on Disney Plus. We watched The Marvels. It's a new show starring Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau and Ms. Marvel and Nick Fury and the Octopus Cats and somebody from who had a hammer that wasn't a hammer, but it was like this power thing, and she was a Kree, so we're back to that whole thing again. And then they're like going all space balls on them by stealing the air out of their atmosphere. And
I didn't even think of space balls.
Seriously. Of course. So
I can't believe it.
It was short. Pete, as I said, as the resident Marvel, you'll stand up for just about anything Marvel. You've never met a Marvel you didn't like. Until tonight, I have a feeling. But what was good about this movie?
Yeah, I was going to steal from you, Derek, but you already said it. It was short. But I'll spin that in a more positive way. I thought the movie was very tight. A lot of Marvel movies of late have been very overstuffed. Too many, especially towards the end, too many drawn out confrontations at the end. I was glad to see a Marvel movie that was a little bit of a tighter story, so it didn't feel as flabby as a lot of the movies do. I also really liked Iman Vellani, the woman that plays Kamala Khan or Miss Marvel. I thought she brought a lot of charm to her role, just like she did in her own miniseries. Also, her family was kind of fun. It was a little bit of the same as we saw in the series, but it was like it was a good part of comic relief that I do think overall this movie had enough of that sometimes the Marvel movies lately haven't had enough comic relief, and this one certainly did. I also kind of liked the Singing Planet just because it was different. What about you, Steve?
And Steve apparently is having technical issues because he put himself on mute.
I'm sorry. It's in the day. I liked that it centered around three female leads where there was tension between them, but there was not like a infighting. Like, we have to get together, we have to figure this out. And it was sort of a positive spin instead of, I don't like her and we have to figure that out, but it was straight into the problem. Like you, I think that it was nice and short and concise. There was that great overall story. I liked how they carried over the sort of the feel of Miss Marvel with Miss Marvel's character, sort of that humor, tongue in cheek at points. I really like that. I liked some of the comedy. I had issues with some of the comedy, but we can talk about that in the next round. So I would say those two things.
I've already given my main positive is that it was short. Because I think if it was a 2 hour and 45-minute movie, they would have had people walking out. There was one moment where I chuckled. It was the "so we're literally hurting cats" line. I thought was kind of funny. As a teacher, I thought that line was clever. But Kate,
I liked it.
okay.
I liked it, but I think I liked it. I think I was probably looking at it differently than you all. You had 3 badass female characters as the leads. You had, I love the 3 of them. I love the 3 of them together. Miss Marvel might be in my top 3 favorite of the Marvel universe. I don't know. I was talking to Casey about this. I don't know if that's because I love her character or how well this actress portrays Miss Marvel. Her blend of innocence and youth and badassery as a superhero is perfection. How she portrays Miss Marvel to me is perfection. And I loved watching her with the like, oh my God, it's Captain Marvel, with also like, hey, but I'm like also kind of auditioning for the Avengers. Like it was so good. Her performance was so good. I really liked it. Were there parts that weren't great? Yeah, we're going to get to that. But overall, I loved watching 3 badass women like leading this movie. I loved that it showed their weaker sides and it showed them banding together. Oh my God. All of Miss Marvel's family had me laughing out loud. Like their comedy, in my opinion, that comedy was so good and was so well written. I really loved the costuming for this movie. I loved Captain Marvel's dress when they're in the whole singing land or whatever. I loved her dress in that. And I loved when they all came out and Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel and Kamala they all had each of their suits or whatever was so tailored to them. And I loved that Kamala's still showed her, is it Indian heritage? Is it Indian? Yeah.
Pakistani, I think.
Pakistani. Okay. That like it even just like it was a nod to that culture. Yeah, there were parts, and we're going to talk about it, that weren't great, but overall, I would rewatch this over Guardians 3. I would rewatch this over. This has rewatchability to me. So, and I know I'm going to be the lone wolf on this one, and I'm okay with that. But I really enjoyed it.
Kate, I would agree. 3 very strong female characters: Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Valkyrie.
Get out of here. If I had a way to drop you down, I would right now.
No, you know what? You don't. So you have to deal with it. We'll get to it here in just a little bit. So that's what we liked about the movie. Steve, I'm going to give you first shot at what should have been swallowed by a Flerken and not regurgitated.
Okay, so I have 3 things. It was too predictable. Like my husband and I were watching it, and we totally predicted the end about halfway through. So too predictable. I'm tired of the same sort of storyline. Quick battle. The villain almost wins and then quickly gets conquered. So I found that boring. And then if you're going to go into cheese with the Singing Island, you have to go all in throughout the entire movie. It just seemed very clunky at this one point. Now we have a singing island, and they can't understand us because we're not singing.
And that was not played up nearly enough.
Correct. And then how did Goose become pregnant with all the Flerken eggs? All of a sudden, there's Flerken eggs everywhere. So I did enjoy the cat humor, just having cats. And like you said, Derek, herding cats, being a teacher, totally got it. But those are the main three things. Not cheesy enough if you're going to go that way. Too short. I mean, not too short.
Too short?
Not too short. Predictable.
Okay.
And then the villain battle just too short. Like got in, we have to wrap it up. So.
Well, and a villain that was really done in by her own hubris. Because in reality, this is another one of those movies where if they give her the bracelet when she first wants it, most of this movie doesn't happen. Because she uses them and it destroys her then. And then then you can have the rip in reality, and then you can truly bring in the X-Men. Because I'm sorry, the constant, okay, we're going to throw them in at the end. We're going to throw them at the end. We're going to throw them at the end. And I'm kind of getting to the next question we're going to get, so I'm going to back off a little bit. But I don't know. It was... Steve, I'm surprised it took you halfway through to predict what was going to happen. With her talking,
it might have been sooner. I just know my husband.
He was gone, and she wished she could have come back. And I need you. The fact that they were going to separate again was fairly obvious. I was annoyed by the singing planet again, Steve, though, because I think they didn't take it far enough. And
lean into the cheese.
Into the cheese there. You need to lean into the cheese the whole movie, and this did not. As a high school teacher, Miss Marvel is one of the most annoying characters in the Marvel universe because I deal with her every day. And I don't want to watch her in a movie. And that's a professional hazard, but the oh my gosh, it's Captain Marvel. Okay, give me that for like 2 or 3 scenes. Don't give me that for half the movie. The bouncing back and forth got old. Like, okay, we get it. Every time they activate their powers simultaneously, but does it have to go on for a 10-15 minute fight scene? It got. The joke was that they were bouncing back and forth. And it's one of those, I don't think you understood it the first 10 times, so let's do it another 30. Samuel L. Jackson was wasted in this movie. The whole, especially him in a fight scene with a gun. Are you telling me he only got one shot off that hit somebody? I mean, come on. Have you guys not seen Pulp Fiction? I mean, come on. There was nothing there to this movie. There was no reason that I had to care about this movie. Why should I care? I mean, we're still doing the Krees and the Skrulls. Really? It's just, as I said, I'm getting into the next question we're going to have, but I'm going to stop there because I could have kept going for a while. Kate, what didn't work for this movie for you?
So while I loved the singing planet, I was watching it and I was like, oh, people are going to hate this. Like, I love it and I think it's super clever because it's something we haven't seen before. But I can already feel people going, oh, God, this is too campy.
Okay,
so that was a little rough.
Do you agree that if they had gone farther, it would have been funnier?
Probably. Yeah. I didn't like this villain. She was blah to me. She wasn't intriguing at all. I wanted, like, that's what makes Marvel, certain parts of Marvel so intriguing is the villains. And this villain was just blah. There was just no substance to her. You didn't love to hate her, or you didn't excuse me. I don't want to say
Blah
we didn't.
works.
Blah works.
Yeah, blah works. Like with Thanos, there was a part of you, and even Kang a little bit, you didn't like resonate with them, but there was also like a teeny bit of humanity to them. And this girl is just blah. Just blah. So the villain part really kind of was like, meh. I had another one, but now it's gone. I liked this movie. I didn't have a lot bad to say about it. Derek and I vehemently disagree on Miss Marvel. I don't hang out with high schoolers every single day. So
No, I didn't say hang out with. I said interact with. No, if I hang out with high schoolers, we've got a whole nother set of
got a
problems.
whole other problem. But yeah, I think I see a lot of myself in Miss Marvel. That feeling
I
of
can see that.
excitement versus trying to be cool and fit in and feel like an adult, but you also kind of feel like an imposter because you're just excited to be invited to the table. Like so I think that's partly why I like her so much. But yeah, a couple of the fight scenes drug on a little bit, but I actually liked them jumping back and forth. I actually liked them. I thought that was because it kept catching me off guard when they would do it. They did it a lot, yeah, but there were certain parts that I thought were creative. So yeah, I didn't know a lot bad to say. What about you, Pete?
Yeah, I'm gonna defend that before I start talking about what's wrong. When you have a character that's so overpowered as Miss Marvel is, you have to not. Yeah, no, yeah,
Yeah,
Captain
she was
Marvel. Sorry,
completely
as
overpowered.
Captain Marvel is when you have a character that's so overpowered, you have to do something to knock their power down because otherwise they would just win.
Okay.
Right. So
overpowered or overpowering? Because I think if someone if Miss Marvel was overpowered because they were stronger than she was, Captain Marvel was overpowering.
No, that's what they refer to in geek circles. They call him OP. They call him overpowered, which Superman's overpowered because nobody can stop him, and that's why you have kryptonite.
So yeah.
Okay. So Captain Marvel kind of has no weakness. She, in the first movie, she defeated the Kree. Once she realized who she was, she basically defeated the Kree by like flying through and smashing their ships, and they didn't have a chance. So they have to throw something at her that makes it difficult for her to use her powers. So I think that part of the movie worked. I will also say, even though I'm going to say a bunch of bad things about this movie, I didn't hate this movie. The reason is it felt, and I will agree with Kate. I do like seeing, strong women characters leading a movie. I have no issues with that. I felt like this movie was someone took the last 30 Marvel movies and put them into an AI chatbot and said, "Can you write me a script for a Marvel movie?" And this is what we got. This is what we got out. We got a very generic bad guy that has a relationship with the main hero. Like at least it wasn't Tony Stark again, so that's good. But that they hate because we've had like 4 it's Tony Stark made me's. But and then you have Captain, you have Captain Marvel, who's super powerful, but she doesn't know how to relate to the her friends and her family. And then you have the new kid like Spider-Man, who is really just happy to be there and all excited and wee. And then poor Monica Rambeau gave her kind of nothing to do particularly. Nick Fury was completely wasted. They completely ignored, not that it was all that good, but they completely ignored Secret Invasion, which was just like 6 months ago. And this supposedly happened after Secret Invasion. And they had Skrulls on other planets after we were just told all the Skrulls were on Earth. What? But that's a nitpick, but but just in general, just so generic. And I just Kate used blah as a description, and that to me was, this movie was blah. I didn't hate it, but I just felt there was nothing, it wasn't giving me anything new. And I think that's why I liked the Singing Planet, because it was at least felt a little bit new as an idea. It didn't make a lot of sense that they couldn't understand them when they were speaking words instead of singing words, but at least there was like an idea that was kind of clever. And as I said, I don't think they quite hit it, but it yeah, I don't know. I could pick on this movie a ton, but I just feel like it felt so generic to me. Like there was nothing, unless I just look at, great, we got women leading the movie, which is great, but that isn't enough to save that. It's just a very generic story. And I think I left the theater thinking I never need to see this again. So
yeah, and that's how I left my Disney Plus account, is I left it feeling I'm never watching this again.
Yep.
So okay. Of late, Marvel has not been great. The last thing that everybody seemed to enjoy was Endgame. Realistically, just one of the last things that they seemed to enjoy was Endgame. Captain America and Winter Soldier was basically well received. WandaVision was basically well received. Since then, though, the general trend has been downhill, especially with the movies. The movies have been going downhill faster because the last two movies come out are this and Guardians 3. And
Ant-Man 3.
And Ant-Man 3 and the Eternals.
What about Multiverse of Madness?
Eternals was 2.5 years ago.
Oh. Multiverse of Madness
was last summer.
But of late, the trend has been downhill.
I would agree.
Okay. Is the MCU, as it is going now, in trouble? Kate, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah. Overall, no, I don't think so. I think that I think Kevin Feige knows what he's doing, and I think Marvel will find a way to pull out a plot twist that will re-engage everyone. The problem is we watched Endgame, Infinity War and Endgame. They started building that from the very first Captain America, which came out in like 2011. So it's been building for what, 10 years? And we didn't know when those movies came out, when Captain America and all those movies came out, we didn't realize that that's what they were building toward. We didn't realize that that all of these movies were going to be at least I didn't realize all these movies are going to be intertwined, and that like the big build. So I would like, while yeah, it's not as up to snuff as some of the movies of late, I will say that Infinity War and Endgame were so good because of the storytelling and because of the buildup to that. I think Marvel will get there again. Adding X-Men in is going to help. Right now, I think it's in trouble, but I think they will find a way to course correct. So what about you, Pete?
I hope they do, because to me, I think the mistakes they're making are fairly obvious. If you look at what they did if we look at Infinity War and Endgame being the goal, is that even though they built a lot of characters around that, there was really a focus on Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and then to a degree you had Hulk and Black Widow and
I would
Hawkeye,
stick
maybe a
with
little
Hulk.
bit.
I would stick with those Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and Hulk.
Yeah. But even Hulk didn't really do a lot outside of the Avengers. So you had other characters that came along like Ant-Man and things like that. But the focus was, Captain America got 3 movies and Iron Man got 3 movies and Thor got, I guess, 3. He had 3 movies also before. So they were able to focus on a couple of characters, have a couple other characters that come along as well. And so when you get to Endgame, yeah, you got a big story with all these characters, but you got a couple characters you're really rooting for, which is Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and if you think about the way those movies worked, each one of those characters kind of led a section of the movie and everything. I think what they've been doing since Endgame is just taking characters and throwing them at the wall, and they keep throwing more characters at us. And then they have then they have the Marvel Easter egg at the end. They throw another character at us, and then that character never goes anywhere anymore because they're so busy throwing more characters at us. And I think that is hurting them in that even if there is a story direction they're trying to go in, which I'm not even sure they are anymore with what they did with Kang, but it's not working well because it's just too many characters. We have we don't have any, like, what is the character in the current phase of Marvel that you're into, that you're rooting for? I can't even think of a character that I really
Miss
like.
Marvel.
Yeah,
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel. I like Miss Marvel a lot. I like Moonlight
And
Knight a lot.
Black Widow's or Black Panther's sister.
Okay.
So
But even
okay.
she had one movie, but okay. Yeah. Right. So it's kind of, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like they're trying to do too much, and it's by doing too much there's no focus, and it is just every movie is just a throw at the screen, see what people like, throw at the screen, see what people like, and they're trying to get so much out there that not everything is bad. Again, I know I'm the only one that liked Guardians 3, but it was only a little over a year ago that we had Black Panther 2, which I thought was a great movie.
Now, in your defense, Pete,
Mhm.
Steve also gave Guardians 3 a 3.5.
Okay. So I guess I wasn't the only one. Well, I only gave it a 4, I think, right?
So you gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a 3.5 too. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, hey, you and me.
Hey.
I feel like I was the main one defending it though. Yeah, so there's been some good stuff in there. As you said, WandaVision was post Endgame. That was good. I think the Loki series was good. So I don't think they're a complete disaster that like the DC universe is, which pretty much every movie is terrible.
The DC universe does good on TV shows. The DC universe, I feel like when you have Arrow and you have Supergirl, and the Flash,
Yeah,
and
that's actually a
Legends of
separate.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, that's their television universe. You're right. That stuff, I guess, works.
Fantastic.
Different than the movies, though.
Yeah,
True, but
yeah,
their
they don't really-
television is so good.
right, but their movies are garbage except for the first 2/3 of Wonder Woman.
I know Christopher Reeve was pretty good.
Oh yeah, if we go back then, I actually we're getting way off track, but I actually watched Superman 1 on the plane this past week. I downloaded it, and while it's a little slow moving, he is so good in that role. I mean, it's definitely, going back and watching it, it's like this still works, man. But anyways, Yeah, I don't know if they don't do something to course correct here. I would really like them to see them kind of separate their TV from their movies instead of trying to have the TV complement, or use the TV to introduce the minor characters that are going to fill in the spaces, and give us a movie series where we focus on, again, 3 to 6 characters, and we know who the main good guys are. Again, the Avengers focused on, as you say, those main 4. And, part of how they worked Infinity War and Endgame is that they snapped a whole bunch of people, but guess who survived Infinity War? It was Captain America and Iron Man and the Hulk and Thor, right? Because that was the story they were telling, those main through characters. And I think we need those main through characters again. Steve, I'll let you give your opinion here. I went on for a while.
Pete, you covered a lot of what I'd say. I feel like they don't really know where they're going yet. And I feel like the prior ones, they definitely had a plan. And so they sort of have a plan, and they change plans. And I don't think they found their main characters. They keep on throwing characters out, but no one's really hit with the audience, which again, it's because they don't have a plan. There's nothing there's that's grasping us going, like, who's going to be the new set really of Avengers? Because I've been hearing, the young Avengers, who's going to be the new group coming up? I think maybe if they focused on that, the new crop coming up, maybe it would grab our attention. I mean, like the end of this movie, when it was a Miss Marvel and the one from Hawkeye, sort of like you said, that interesting test. Here's another character, but I almost say ditto on basically everything that Pete said. He took all the words out of my mouth.
Sorry, Steve.
No, it happens. I mean, Young Avengers has been telegraphed since Falcon and Winter Soldier. Because one of the grandson of the original guy who got the injection goes into the Young Avengers. You guys remember Micah from a couple seasons ago? I've talked with Micah a lot about this, and basically that's the next direction they're going to go. I think part of the issue is Marvel has a superstar problem in the fact that anybody who is a name actor, or just about anybody who is a name actor today, has already been someone in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because you've got Robert Downey Jr. was your name, who you built the MCU around as Iron Man. Bringing him in as Iron Man in the first one with Gwyneth Paltrow, there's your 2 headliners that drew everyone in to get them interested in this. I don't know where they go now that he's dead, and apparently everyone else is just out there and not really getting involved in things. Or if they're getting involved in things, they're getting involved in things on their own. I would like to actually see more. If you're going to truly be a handoff to the Young Avengers and handoff to the next generation of superheroes, you have to have the old superheroes in there to truly pass the torch. Yes, Valkyrie was in this one, but if you didn't recognize her from the looks, they never said her name. They never said who she was. They just assumed you knew. I had to look it up to make sure, okay, yeah, that is who that is supposed to be. I didn't know if it was that, or if they were trying to bring in a new friend of hers. And where are the Asgardians living at the moment? Are they still in that rocket ship?
No, they're on Earth.
Oh, they're on Earth now.
Yeah.
So now they're taking them all back. Okay.
Yeah, they took more scrolls to Earth, apparently.
Secret invasion, but now they're taking more scrolls to. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah,
that doesn't work. And I think they have there's no one you're rooting against. because all of the villains are very forgettable.
Yeah, for sure.
Every villain since I hesitate to call Wanda in Universe of Madness a true villain just because of what she was dealing with internally and why she was doing what she was. I know they wanted you to think she was the big bad of the whole thing, but I had a hard time dealing with that. But every villain is a one-off. And okay, you're gonna build it around the new Sam has a Captain America movie coming out eventually, another year and a half, another 2 years sometime, and we haven't seen him since 2021 or 2022. 2021. It's got to be at least 2021 since Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So
I have to look at the back of my hat, but
all of a sudden you're looking 4 or 5 years of
2020.
2020. So you're looking at least 5 or 6 years of not seeing these characters or even mentioning these characters.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people that are growing out of Marvel to a point of the generation that came up growing up with that was 13 when the first Iron Man came out now and was 23, 24-ish, 25 when Infinity War came out. All of a sudden now they're getting into their 30s and you haven't kept their attention. And you have no reason to you have not brought out someone that's going to pull in the next generation of 12-year-olds.
Yeah. And like another I mean, you made a great example with Sam there from the new Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking the same thing. Shang-Chi, which came out right after. So I want to say that was 20. It was right after the pandemic, right? So was that 2020 also, or?
Let me I'll take a look while you keep talking.
Okay. But anyways, even if it was 2021, I mean, I think it was 2020, the end of late 2020. That movie was 4 years ago. We have not seen anything from that character, even though at the end of the movie, he shows up, he's talking to Hulk and Captain Marvel.
It's been about 2.5 years. It was September 3rd, 2021 when it came out.
2021. Okay. So 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But even so, there's no sign of them making a sequel to that movie. They have not announced it. They have not mentioned it or anything like that. That was a pretty charming character. Pretty good movie. So it was a solid movie. It wasn't the best Marvel movie, but I don't think any of us hated it. Build on that character. Don't bury him for 5 years.
I mean, heck, I gave it a 3.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think we all gave it a 3 or higher, you know, I mean, so it was a solid movie. You gotta, I don't know. I mean, I completely agree with what you're saying, Derek, because like my daughter said to me the other, she's like, I'm just not that into Marvel anymore. It's not, most of it's not very good. She loved Guardians 3 because she's a huge Rocket fan. But the new stuff, she just isn't interested in any of the characters because they don't spend enough time with them. So I don't know.
Tom Hiddleston Loki for the younger kids was too old. And now all of a sudden he's about the one character that they've still been going from the original group.
Right.
Now he's been written out, essentially.
Yeah, and you can't.
Where's Spider-Man? Where is the live action Spider-Man? We haven't seen him in several years.
Yeah, a year and a half, but yeah.
Well, but
yeah,
it's a good movie in a couple years.
Spider-Man's tricky because it's owned by Sony, so I can kind of forgive Marvel that they got to make things work with Sony to get that character in their movies, and they have. So actually, I guess. Oh no, wait, never mind.
No, not Sony yet.
No, Disney hasn't bought Sony. But as I said, I think some more focus on a central core of characters, whether that's a Young Avengers, I would be fine with that. Bring Kate Bishop, bring Kamala Khan, bring I can't think of any other ones. The
new Black Widow's sister.
Right. Yeah. I can't think of her name in Yelena, right? Yelena.
Yes.
Bring these characters and let's see more of them and build the story with these characters. That's the way you fix it, I think. But
And if you want to tie into the old ones, the main mentor of the Young Avengers is Vision.
Yeah.
In the comics, that is where that character may come back in the movies, because since we have seen him in WandaVision in 2020, who knows where he has gone? He's just been
White Vision.
White Vision has just been out there, apparently. So, yeah, I mean, and I think Kevin Feige probably had an original plot, but I think there have been some stuff recently that has changed that. I would be willing to bet the idea he had that started with WandaVision is not the same idea he has now. I
think so too.
I can see that.
So, which is part of the issue, because I agree. From the first Iron Man, he had an idea where he wanted to go. I think since WandaVision, that idea has changed several times. And it shows in the movies and the shows. So, okay. As we always do, when we watch a movie, we give it a series, we give it a cup of pixie dust out of 5 ratings for The Marvels. Kate, what is your rating?
I'm giving it a 3. Go ahead, Pete.
I'm gonna give it. I have such a hard time because I said it's literally the definition of a middle of the road movie, which is technically a 2.5. I kind of want to give it a 2, because I just don't want to go back to it. So I'm gonna give it a 2. I'm gonna give it a 2.
Okay. Is it closer to Lady and the Tramp for you, or the New Haunted Mansion for you? Because you gave Lady and the Tramp a 2, the New Haunted Mansion a 2.5. So
Closer to Lady and the Tramp.
Okay, so
yeah,
a 2.
A 2. Yeah, it's it. As I said, the longer I sat on it, the lower my mark. So 2.
And it's 2.5 for me. I mean, I liked it, didn't love it. Don't want to watch it again, but 2.5.
Okay. I'm gonna go 1. Just I didn't hate it, but I mean, there are several things that we have watched lately that I would literally watch, while Tron may be a little bit of a stretch to watch again before this. I did technically give it a 1.5. Looking at a bunch of my other ratings, I would watch, for example, I would watch Lightyear before I would watch this again.
Ooh.
So because this, to me, I didn't hate it, but this to me was the definition of a completely pointless movie at this point, other than the last middle credit scene to set up officially starting to assemble the Young Avengers.
But
isn't it X-Men?
No, well, no, they did the X-Men.
Okay, they did that at the end, and I think that's going to be what they're going to try and pull in to save the MCU, is try and officially tie in X-Men. Like, look at the new Deadpool movie coming out, is officially going to have Hugh Jackman in his blue and yellow Wolverine outfit.
But no, the mid credits, and maybe my view of Marvel has changed, because they literally copycatted what Nick Fury did with Iron Man in the first Iron Man, at the end of the first Iron Man movie, with Kamala and Kate Bishop, and I was so annoyed by it. I was like, why are you using the exact same lines?
But it's synergy, and it's to show that this is truly the new I'm sorry, I can't even do it in fake.
But it took me out of the moment by having her say the exact same things that Nick Fury said 15 years ago.
Yeah, that's fair. And I will say, as far as no one did mention them bringing in X-Men, I think they need to bring the X-Men in hard now to jumpstart the MCU. I think they need to actually be pulling in the they've teased it, in credit scenes and etc. We need to see mutants, and mutants that everybody knows, or Charles Xavier, and not have him get killed off in an alternate universe, but bring in these mutants.
They've been teasing the X-Men for a long time now.
Yeah, and they're not doing anything with it. So to me, that's one of those it's one of those shut up or get off the pot type things. It's you gotta, okay. And if how they're gonna do it is by having it being the alternate universe and another alternate reality.
I don't want that.
I don't want that. I want it. I'm sorry. You've already gone so far off the rails in reality. Bring it into the true Marvel MCU.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll say this. I'm okay with that in Deadpool. Deadpool should be ridiculous. He's a ridiculous character. I mean, he knows he's in a movie.
Yeah.
And
I truly consider him as part of the MCU.
Yeah, I mean, they're bringing him in. They're in theory bringing him into the MCU. That's the only Marvel movie we get in this year, and it's going to be an R-rated movie. You know, so it's not pulling in the kids. But yeah, I said I kind of hope that doesn't set up the next stage, but I don't know. I don't even know what to think anymore.
Yeah. Okay, Kate.
So can it be saved?
I think it's in trouble. I don't know whether it can be saved or not. We'll see. So, Kate, we do have some Disney Plus news this week. What have we got?
We do have Disney Plus news. First of all, Disney Plus will be streaming home of the Taylor Swift Eras concert movie. The service reportedly paid $75 million, and it will premiere on March 15th. And I think that was a brilliant move on Disney's part.
Good news for all the Chiefs fans. So
brilliant.
But
brilliant move.
I'm just curious, will it bring in $75 million worth of new subscribers?
Possibly.
It could. It quite honestly.
Yes.
Yeah, quite honestly, it's not a bad move on Disney's part, even if they only pay for a month.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, next up, Percy Jackson will continue to try and steal lightning in a bottle in a just announced second season. Yeah. And I believe that's what we're watching next week, right, Derek?
Hey, no spoiler. Hey, where's the
spoiler? My bad. Continuing on, instead of being a Disney Plus series, Moana 2 will now be the Thanksgiving release for Disney this fall.
It was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus series coming out. It is now going to be it's their Thanksgiving release. Previews came out. Lin-Manuel Miranda will not be doing the music to this one, for better or worse. I mean, because he's either you like his music or his music all sounds the same. So
that's fair.
Anyway.
It is being reported that the next musical adaptation of a Disney movie is to be filmed and released on the service will be the London version of Frozen the musical. They have also filmed Aladdin for the service, but are holding off on that release because the show is still a box office success. And that's it for the Disney Plus news.
And they're on that. They're trying to piggyback off things like of the Hamilton that they did.
Well, and Waitress did really well in theaters as well. It's not Disney Plus, but Waitress did really well. Right.
So I would way rather have Disney do this with their live action.
Then make live action versions.
And make a live action version of Frozen. I would much rather see them give us the stage show as a film. So
and I will say the one I really want to see is Lion King. Of what's out there. So anyway, next week, we, as Kate told us already, we are watching the new Percy Jackson series. We've been watching
What? That's brand new information. What?
Okay.
Wow, that's such a good.
Okay. So we'll start by shutting off her mic. Gonna be watching the new Percy Jackson series. It follows the first book, right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
The first book, which is Percy Jackson and Lightning Thief. That's my poor attempt at a pun.
And Steve is going to be our Percy Jackson expert because he has read the book.
I've read the book multiple times.
I'm guessing, Steve, you might have taught the book.
Yes, I taught the book for 7 years.
Wow. Okay. So then we have
probably in the dozens of times, literally. Then, so
have you read more than just the one book?
I've read, I think, the 2 other, because I think there's 3 in this series, because he has multiple ones. I can't keep track, but I know I've read the 2 other ones. So
okay. I think there's 6 or 7 actual Percy Jackson books, but I think the original series was 3.
3, yeah.
Okay. As I said, so next week's Perky Jackson. After that, we're going to go back into the vault for a couple. We've got a fun leap year show planned. We've got a couple Diamond in the Roughs coming up. But March and April, guys, we need some suggestions. Please email us at plusplatoon@gmail.com. Message us on Facebook somewhere. Let us know what you want us to watch. Because I can pick movies, but if it's something you want us to watch, we'd prefer to do that because they get kind of tired of me picking movies all the time. So, if you have not already, please subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it's called. Guys, but yeah, please let us know what you want us to watch because I get kind of tired of picking stuff, and so far what they've picked hasn't been amazing. I'm just saying.
Robin Hood was good.
Okay. I'm sticking by my statement. So, guys, we have new episodes coming out every Thursday on YouTube and all the major podcasting services for Kate, Pete, and Steve. We've got Gene in the background, and we will see everyone next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of the Plus Platoon. Be sure to subscribe to the Plus Platoon podcast to keep getting great content each week. Then head over to Apple Podcasts and leave those 5-star reviews as they help make the Plus Platoon visible to even more Disney Plus fans. Also, go to YouTube and like and subscribe to the Plus Platoon channel where you can watch all future episodes live. If you have a question for the Plus Platoon, please send us an email to plusplatoon@gmail.com or connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram @plusplatoon.
The Plus Platoon is a Disney Plus fan podcast and is not affiliated with the Walt Disney Company or the Disney Plus streaming service. All opinions expressed on the show are solely those of the individual hosts and in no way reflect the views of the Walt Disney Company.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode because the Plus Platoon is to be continued.